Guys, welcome back to Southern Extreme TV. I am kicked back, hanging out here at my house, just taking a break from shooting, doing a little archery practice, and wanted to take a minute to talk to you guys about, in my personal opinion, 3 ways to become a better hunter. And this can be used across any type of hunting in the outdoors, whether it's turkey hunting, deer hunting, coyote hunting, bear hunting, whatever the case may be. You know, I always love hearing different opinions and different tips and tactics on how people do things a little bit differently, but this is more of a foundational, I don't even know if that's a word, a foundation type video for maybe people that are just getting into hunting, maybe you're new to the outdoors, or maybe you're just wanting to get a couple different opinions. This video is for you. So essentially I want to talk 3 different ways to become a better hunter, and it all starts, in my personal opinion, with scouting. Number 1 is you've got to put your time in the woods, running trail cameras, looking for sign, walking the property, knowing the properties, and ultimately figuring out where your game is living. Where do they live? And if you figure that out, that is your step 1, in my opinion, to even starting this adventure of hunting. You've got to figure out where they live. You've got to figure out where they're traveling from, because they've got to eat, sleep, and get water. And if you can figure out them 3 things, and then obviously during certain times of the year they got something else on their head as well, depending on what animal you're hunting and the given season. So that, in my opinion, that's step number 1, is you've got to do your time, put your time in scouting, you know, and that can be, you know, like I said, that can be going and just walking through the woods, whether it's public or private, but a lot of scouting on our end falls hand in hand with running trail cameras. A lot of the properties that we've been hunting for some time, so we don't have to go and walk them properties every single year, because we pretty much know where those deer like to bed at, where they like to be at early season, where they want to be at during the rut. And for us, it's mainly taking inventory with trail cameras and figuring out exactly where those deer are at, what deer is in the area, so that way we know if we need to be spending our time on that specific property or if we need to be spending our time elsewhere. So for me, that's tip number 1. Just take your time scouting, put in the time and put in the effort, and you're going to be rewarded on the tail end of it. Tip number 2 for being a better hunter is you have got to practice with your weapon. I don't care whether it's a muzzleloader, a pistol, a shotgun, a bow, longbow, crossbow, slingshot, spear. I don't care what it is. If you want to become a better hunter, you have got to take the time to practice, whatever it is. I get nowadays, with the technology that's out there from a firearm standpoint, the stuff that's out there nowadays is phenomenal. The scopes are out of this world, the guns are out of this world, so you don't have to do as much as you used to way back in the day, but you still owe it to not only yourself, but mainly the animal. You owe it to that game that you are trying to go into the woods and harvest to take your time and practice, learn your weapon, figure it out, and take the time to truly go through those reps over and over and over again, so that everything in the actual woods becomes second nature to you. And you just got to do that. There's no way that you can, in my opinion, just walk out of the house on opening day and grab whatever it may be and just head out into the woods and say you're going to go hunting. People do it, and I get, you know, people are busy, but we as a outdoorsman and a sportsman, we owe it to that animal to do our due diligence and practice and learn our trade to the best of our ability. And you know, everybody's lives are different. I get people work, and you know, people have families, and it takes a lot of time. It does. But if this is what you're going to do, and this is something that you want to get better at, if you want to be better tomorrow than what you are today, you've got to take the time to practice and learn your weapon. So for me, that is step number 2. So you've got step 1, scouting, step 2, practicing with your weapon, whatever it may be. And step 3, or tip 3, this is one that I took some time thinking on. The first 2, in my opinion, are fairly easy to point out as far as becoming a better and more well-rounded outdoorsman and sportsman. But step 3 to me, in my personal opinion, I think that somebody needs to truly take the time to learn how to come and go out of the woods. And what I mean by that is, one of the things that I notice whenever I take a new hunter into the woods, whether they're young, old, somewhere in between, is the way that they approach a property when they're going into it. And again, this can be turkey hunting, deer hunting, squirrel hunting, crow hunting, it doesn't matter. If we will take the time to learn a better or a best way for a specific property on how to access to where you're wanting to hunt at, and not only access that, but to learn when you need to go into these places, because a lot of times these properties, you may be having deer, bear, whatever it is that you're going after, they may be utilizing that specific section of property more in the afternoons. And if that's the case, you've got to figure out what is your best route to get into that property to harvest that animal while causing the least amount of disturbance as humanly possible. And it's not only just the pure access standpoint, but it's how you're traveling through these areas. Sometimes you're stuck between a rock and a hard place, and you don't have a choice but to walk through an area that you may be pushing the limits on bumping that game out of there, trying to get into your spot. We've all been there and we've all done that, and at some point in time you're going to have to make that decision as a hunter. So not only trying to figure out that best way in there, but taking your time moving in and setting up and just making sure that everything is a methodical move. And that falls back into that practicing tip number 2 almost, because you've got to practice with your weapon to learn that better. But as far as setting up goes, for me, just as an example, I have a lot of gear that I got to set up in the tree stand if I'm going to hunt a deer, or a lot of stuff I got to take into the woods with me when I'm going to hunt a turkey. So my mindset and how I approach a specific property is probably going to be a lot different than the way that you may think about it if you don't have a video camera, if you don't have all this other stuff that's got to go on. I've got to think, how quiet can I set up? How close can I reasonably get while I can still get all that stuff set up? And what I'll actually do is go and practice setting my stuff up. Before deer season comes in, I'll actually get all of my camera gear, put it in my book bag, and I'll go and climb a tree, and I'll practice unloading all my camera equipment, putting it in the tree, pulling my bow up, getting my bow hung. And what that does is, when it's pitch black in the morning and there's no wind blowing, there's no birds chirping, it's just dead quiet. I've been there, I've done that, I've practiced it several times, and I am more proficient in getting set up, and that will ultimately lead to you seeing more game, being closer to the game that you're trying to harvest, and ultimately just alerting less animals that you're in that area. All of that is going to combine into a better outcome for you guys. So in my opinion, those are the 3 things that if you're wanting to try to be a better outdoorsman, a better hunter, there's 3 simple things that you can get started with, and in my opinion, this is them. You need to scout, you need to practice with your weapon, and you need to learn how to approach a property from an access standpoint. Take your time, be quiet, be methodical, think through it, and practice. Practice, practice, practice. And practice covers all 3 of these steps. You've got to practice how you scout, you got to practice how you shoot, and you got to practice how you go onto these properties. So guys, hopefully this video helped some of you out, some of your more experienced guys. Maybe this was a video to make you think a little differently. And then if you're newer to the outdoors, this is right up your alley. I mean, if you're looking to try to get into the outdoors and start hunting, start fishing, whatever the case may be, this is a phenomenal place to start. YouTube has a lot of good videos out there, a lot of good guys giving some phenomenal tips and pointers. Probably a lot better guys out there than what I am, but hopefully this video will help you out. If you're new to Southern Extreme TV, be sure to hit that subscribe button. I'm trying to grow this thing to 100,000 subscribers, so every single click gets me one step closer to my goal. It means the world to me that you guys will take time out of your day to watch what I got going on. So make sure to hit the subscribe button, make sure to hit the like button, and if there's anything you want me to talk about or maybe you got questions on, drop a comment down below. I try to do a very good job of either A, answering questions that are put down in the comment section, or B, actually making a video to address some of the questions that people put down in the comments. So if there's anything that you want to know, anything that I didn't cover in this video, drop a comment down below, and I'll be sure to try to help you guys out. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. I'll see y'all next time.